Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. As I told War Duke in the comments, I'm totally into romance comics now. I'm done with superheroes. So as such, I thought I would take a look at New Love Comics #1. This is a spin-off of Love and Rockets. Now that's a joke. I'm a Love and Rockets freak. I really like Love and Rockets. A lot of people will criticize them. They're woke, whatever, but just keep in mind that these guys have been doing this stuff since like 1983. They are the first at doing it. But the way I differentiate between like woke comics and non-woke comics is these are actual characters with depth, personalities, individual like wants and desires. Each character is a totally unique creation with they have their own voice, they have their own path in life and everything like that. Whereas woke characters, they're all extensions of the writer, and they're all espousing the same philosophy. They're instantly friends because they might as well be. They're just. I always picture like Lady Shiva in Hindu mythology, or is it Kali? I forget. You know how they have like 6 different faces, 8 arms. Like that's how I picture like woke, like modern Marvel characters. Like every female character in Marvel, it's just the same woman, the archetypal woke woman with different aspects. Like from this angle, it's Monica Rambeau. From this angle, it's Carol Danvers. From this angle, you know what I mean. So they might as well all be the same character. I know I'm a weirdo that way, but anyway, let's get back to what I'm talking about. This is Fantagraphic Books. This is New Love. This is 1 of 6. This is a spin-off of Love and Rockets. Now, Love and Rockets, I did a showcase. I think I did 2 showcases on Love and Rockets. Love and Rockets is a truly bizarre comic book. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's a this doesn't. I don't mean this to be snobby or elitist anyway, but it's like an acquired taste, and I didn't like it at first. I actually got it at issue #1 when it first came out, and I'm probably wrong, but in my memory, I just have this memory of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Watchmen, and Love and Rockets and Dark Knight Returns all being on my comic book shelf at the same time. Now, maybe that was true. Maybe my friend Larry, who ran the comic book store, left them out because he was trying to push them. But I just remember all of them being there. And I remember I bought The Watchmen, I bought the Dark Knight Returns. But I remember picking up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 and putting it back like, this is ridiculous. And I remember looking through Love and Rockets #1, and I'm like, this is awful. It wasn't until years later before I got into Love and Rockets and then bought all the back issues. Matter of fact, it wasn't until the 50-issue run was canceled, and then they started doing little like side character books, that I got into Love and Rockets, and then I went and bought all the back issues. But who cares about that? I'm just being crazy explaining my insane life. All right, so this is by Gilberto. There's 2 brothers, the Hernandez brothers. There's actually there's 3 brothers, but it's Jamie Hernandez and Gilberto Hernandez, and then there's Mario Hernandez. And from what I've learned, Mario like actually started the comic, and then like left. And once in a blue moon, he'll do something. So I don't know what he's really doing for his main income. It can't be comics, because he doesn't have that much of an input. But anyway, Jamie is. I'm going to take a sip. Delicious Tim Hortons coffee. Jamie is known as the artist, and Gilberto is known as the writer. But nothing could be farther from the truth. I do prefer Jamie's clean, simple, elegant lines. So I do like Jamie's art style better. And this is like a mother picking between 2 children. You know, it pains me to say that. And I do prefer Gilberto's writing. So there I am playing into the stereotype. Go figure. But Jamie is a wonderful writer, and Gilberto is also a wonderful artist. So when we're talking one guy is the writer and one guy is the artist, we're talking about like, I don't know, what's the better band, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, if that analogy holds true. But I think they're both wonderful, phenomenal, genius level talents that are important. I'm not even joking when I say that. All kidding aside, all snobbery aside, and all whatever hokiness aside, I do believe that the Hernandez brothers are 2 treasured American artists. they are part of American culture. Like everybody knows who Andy Warhol is. Everybody knows. I'm trying to think of like the Charlie's Daniels Band. These are part of America. Well, Gilbert and Jamie Hernandez are part of American culture too. They should be put in books about Americana and everything too. And of course it has a lot of I don't know what the correct term is these days. But like Hispanic or I remember there was like southwestern, but there was a specific term that's escaping my mind. But there was expect specific term for like Mexican American culture back in the 90s and 80s, but it seems to have fallen from disuse and fallen from my brain. But anyway, let's get back to Love and Rockets. So Love and Rockets, they would alternate. Jamie would write and tell a story, and he was mostly concerned with the locas, the Maggie and Hopi, and then it became like almost like a real time soap opera of Maggie became the main star. She's the breakout character, and then like the people that they grew up with, their high school, they went from like punk rock girls to like growing up, and it kind of started out. They were one of them was like a mechanic on spaceships that flew throughout the solar system, and then like I guess they were kids. That's all I could think of. I don't know the truth, but they kind of matured, and it became just like a slice of life. One of the characters was murdered in a gang incident. Speedy Ortiz was killed, and that just changed the whole tone of the comic. It went from like this science fiction magical realism to a realistic soap opera. And you know what? I loved it. And it's funny because now when every once in a while they will throw in some like bizarre scientific realism or magical realism, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I forgot it was Love and Rockets. It was about Maggie falling in love on a spaceship flying throughout the soul, and she was hired on as a mechanic. Now she's just like this chubby middle-aged woman. Will she, is she gonna fall in love? She becomes like a substitute teacher, and it's so mundane, but yet I love it. Like everything about that is the normal stuff that I loved in Strangers in Paradise. Just a slice of life, to the point when Strangers in Paradise does that spy thriller stuff, I get pulled out of the comic and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Same with Love and Rockets now. I get so immersed into the everyday life of these regular characters. Such great, it's a character-driven story. I love character-driven stories. Don't get me wrong, I love plot, but I love a character-driven story. And I almost get slapped in the face. I'm like, oh yeah. And I just love the characters. Somebody said that there's something like 105 different characters, that main characters that you got to keep track of their stories. It's wonderful. And then Gilberto, whom I like his writing better. I love his characters. It starts out in a Mexican. Oh, geez, you'd think I'd remember the name of the town, but they were all from this one particular town that was just filled with magical realism. I remember that the town translates in English to Pigeon Coop, but I can't remember the name of the town. And they all like migrate to America. They're like a Mexican family. They some of them become like vastly wealthy, and they're all like descendants of Maria, who has 3 daughters, Luba, Fritzy, and Petra, and there's like millions and millions of grandkids, and who's married to this person and cousins, like just like a big family, and it's easy to dismiss because it's a lot of nudity. They have, the 3 main characters have the big boobs, and then they pass the big boobs on to their daughter. And to be honest, when I first started hearing about Love and Rockets, after the initial time I picked it up and put it down, and later on, I'm like, that's that like fetish boob comic, and it's hard to argue with people like that because it is ridiculous, as especially, and I wonder how they get away with it with modern sensibilities, because like, you'll see. So at this point, I guess it's a good point. This is not safe for work. I'm not going to dwell on panels, but flipping by you might see stuff that is not safe for work. So just look at this cover. This is just like a great superhero cover. This is Beto. So this is Gilberto. So how could you say that Jamie is the better artist when look at that? That is just wonderful. And to tell you the truth, art style is a little bit similar. So sometimes at first, actually, I was having a difficulty seeing who was drawing what, and now I could see it apart, after years of seeing, and plus they've grown stylistically. But I guess this is a good point to mention. I first heard of the Hernandez brothers on a comic called Mr. X. And for the life of me, I don't remember if I've ever done a showcase on Mr. X. I got to break out Mr. X. I got to look through my playlist, see if I've ever done Mr. X. But Mr. X #1, I remember vividly, bought the comic at my friend's comic store, and then I went to a White Castle, and I just sat there reading a stack of White Castle, and my friend Phil was there, and we talked, and he's like, oh, this is the Hernandez brothers. These guys are going to be big. And I was like, oh, tell me more. And this is me full on Marvel and DC, slowly branching out into different comics. And I loved Mr. X, but I think it was Vortex Comics, and I think they had a problem getting paid, and they just walked away. They weren't getting paid. Are you going to work for free? These guys have bills to pay, so they left. And I don't think Mr. X ever really recovered from the loss of the Hernandez brothers. And then they went and they did Love and Rock. All right, so enough babbling. Let's open this up. Be warned, there's a lot of not safe for work. So here we have ads for other classic Love and Rocket stuff. This is a comic, well, Nelly. I'll shout this out to you, Bucky. It's about female wrestlers. I know Bucky's into... Bucky, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, is one of my subscribers. I mentioned Ward Duke. He's another one of my... They're both frequent commenters, so I feel friendly towards them, because we talk a lot, and that's what this channel was created for, to talk to people about comics. So thank you guys. So I might showcase this. This is about a female wrestlers in like a Tex-Mex circuit. Okay, Chicanos, that's the word I was looking for. Jeez, Chicanos. Is that still a cool word to say? Is that appropriate? Am I going to get canceled? I don't know. All right, so with the big hello, Beto, and look at the blacks, and obviously this comic's in black and white. Okay, let's look at the indicia. Okay, so this is New Love #1, August 1996. Wow, it's funny because I consider this one of the newer comics in Love and Rockets, and it's 1996, and that's a million years ago already. So... what's going on? I haven't the faintest clue. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't remember because they are really bizarre. I wonder if they come up with dreams and transcribe their dreams. But, here we have some sort of show over here. And it's more like I'm kind of just showing the style of the comics. So, she's just walking around, meets this monster, does some lovin'-dovin', and turns into a human. So you never really know what's going on, and then like that. This is the whole story, and then they have this one little Frida and Diego, and this guy Diego, his current, he always seems to be like some sort of like sad sack. Letters from Venus, and again, I'm not dwelling on the story because for two reasons. The stories are really bizarre, and it would take like just forever to like really explain what's going on. And second off, sometimes I just don't remember, and sometimes. And more often than not, believe it or not, I don't really even remember, or as I'm reading it, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I still love it. It to me, like, I would love, it'll never happen in a million years, but I would love to have Gilberto on my channel and just talk in depth. Like, it would have to be like a 13-hour interview. I really am fascinated with the guy, and I can also understand if it's not your cup of tea. That So this is Venus. She's one of my favorite characters of all, and I do find that I personally, I'm attracted to Jamie's art more, but I'm attracted to Gilberto's characters more. So, which means I look forward to whenever I see Gilberto doing his stuff. I just really love it. So this is Venus. Who's Venus? That's Petra, his mother. And that's her daughter. Now, keep in mind, the comic, I'm not going to say real time. It's in this like weird plastic time that the whole Love and Rockets world exists in. So in later issues, she's older. She's almost an adult. And he'll jump back and forth. I guess whenever he has an idea for a story, that's the time. And they don't tell you. They don't give you any dates. You just know what time it is based on. Oh, Venus is a little girl. Oh, Petra's a mother. Because Petra, she becomes a bodybuilder, and she becomes a she has a fight with her sister Fritzy. Again, I could talk about these characters forever, and because of that, she becomes estranged from the family, and I think she like deals with anger by working out, and she becomes like a muscle woman. So right over here, she's got like normal proportions, and it's funny because she had there was a storyline of a breast reduction. She had ridiculous sized breasts, and she had a reduction. And I wonder if that's like, if that was Gilberto like goofing with criticism, or more likely it's probably a logical extension of this character definitely has like body issues. So she becomes the bodybuilder, and she becomes like ripped, like a Hulk, like to the point where like the only guys that are interested in her are like guys with like muscle fetishes and stuff like that. So she then stops working out because she's always working on her body. And I just find, and it's not like she talks about it all the time, like you pick it up in the conversations, and especially the way Venus talks about her mom. Now Venus is her daughter. She's into comic books, and that's what you'll see that in this. So she's hanging out with her friend. They're going down to the store. They're gonna go pick up comics. This is Fritzy. This is her aunt. See, that's her aunt. You see what I'm talking about? The big boobs. That's for you, Tonic Mole. And she, for the longest time, was my favorite character. I have to say, Venus kind of stole the spotlight away from my favorite character, and I got a feeling that this was Gilberto's favorite character. Now she's supposed to have like alabaster white skin, like almost like the vampires from whatchamacallit, Interview with the Vampire. And she has like, she speaks Spanish. They all do. They're all from Mexico. But she speaks English, but when she speaks English, she has like a very, like, what's the word? Like a bird, like a very chirpy, high-pitched voice with like a lisp. And then she's beautiful, and she was a psychologist, and yes, psychologist, and get mad at me if you want, but I've always found that people who gravitate towards psychology are like physician heal thyself. They're trying to figure out something. So she is messed up, and because of her figure and because of her unique appearance, she became like a B movie star, like always doing booby films and movies and topless scenes and things like that. So she became like a I'm trying to think of an actress like Leanna Quigley or something like that, who's just known like a scream queen, always in bad movies, but she looks good and she's naked in them. So, and at first she was like embarrassed by it, and then she embraced it, and she wouldn't let her kids and family see the movies. Now she's just like, yeah, I got nothing to be ashamed of. Very, very interesting character. But anyway, so this is her friend, and she's like, look, because they're both at the superhero comics. So she's just envisioning Frida as this galactic superhero queen, and that's her sidekick. And it's pretty, and that's kind of the Hernandez's way of saying that this girl's going to grow up to be, into chicks as she gets older. Not too subtle, but there are subtleties. They'll come back to that. And I think he has like a master plan of all these characters. So now they're going into the comic book store, and then, I just love this. Sorry, but you're not allowed to look at those. Why? She gets mad, and this guy feels bad, and they're pissed off. Why couldn't they look at them? Because they were the adult comics, with nudity and everything. So, he kind of has a crush on them, and I just want to point something out now. I guess it's a normal time. You always hear that trope. Oh, we weren't welcome in comic book stores. Guys, I worked in comic book stores. I worked in 4 different comic book stores across 3 different states. We loved it when girls came in. Okay, now I will grant you this: maybe some of the guys were flirted weird, probably myself included. But we wanted girls come. We never chased them away. We never said it was a boys' club. There was nothing more desirable to geeky comic book guys than girls that knew comics. So I don't know where this nonsense trope came in. I think it's just people. Here's a little political tirade. I think it comes from people who only know about comic books from like post 2016, and then they learned it on TV, the tropes of the guys, and then they get into comic books and they believe what they were told. No, we wanted, if I found, if back in the 80s and 90s, if I knew that there was a girl who played Dungeons and Dragons, the thing is, I didn't know any. I would have loved it. Matter of fact, we played Dungeons and Dragons because girls didn't want to hang out with us. If we found girls that were into Dungeons and Dragons, there would have been fistfights among the different D&D groups over trying to woo her to join our game. So I don't want to hear that crap. So anyway, they're pissed off that they couldn't get now it's the forbidden fruit. They were just casually looking at the adult comics because they were comics, not because they were adult. And now they're like, what was in those comics? What was in this? So the guy comes back and he gives them one, and it's just like a male gay porn comic. And she just like, oh, now I want it. How realistic is that? You're a little kid. What are they, like 12, 13 years old? I don't know. I can't tell the ages of anybody. Now she's reading it. And again, she's really into comics. She's got all the posters, she's got stacks of comics. There's a little brother, and he's like, stop spying on me, stop spying around me. He's just doing everything. Now she's pretending to read other stuff, and mom finds grip. And what does she do? Mom is badass. She's tough. This is the beginning of her fitness phase. Excuse me. And that takes her down to the comic store and starts yelling at the guy. He's like, why did you buy this? What's going on? And she's just like, I don't want you to go back to that store. You'll stop, when I told you, and now she's saying like, when you're older, when your body changes, you'll have a different perspective on this. But right now, you're a kid, be a kid. Read about Spider-Man, Superman. I don't particularly disagree with this. And she's all pissed off. When I grow up, I'm going to rule the world. And she's just embarrassed. I thought it was just a nice, realistic story. And then, records. Remember when records in comic books were, especially Love and Rockets, it was associated with like the alternative rock scene, And here's like another just bizarre comic, okay? Morbito. I just love the... guys, mention in the comments. I'm actively asking, what do you think of the art? What do you think of the art? I think the stories are top notch. If I could understand, sometimes I just can't understand them, but I still enjoy them anyway. It's kind of like, I used to be anal retentive with Love and Rockets. I'm not even joking. I used to like write down who's related to who, make little charts, how old this was when this happened. And then, you know what? It was driving me crazy. And then I just gave up on it. And I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. And my enjoyment of it went up as I stopped meticulously taking notes. So, here we go. So we got this 4-panel page. There's a death. Guy's picking up, this hottie prostitute looking woman, you know what I mean? And that's just it. Is she prostitute? I don't even know. But he's look at the sad sack, and she's just miserable. And the sons are the mother's like, what's with this woman you got? He's talking to other women, and nobody likes him. And then this beautiful woman, she's just you can't help it, guys. Let's be realistic. I don't care. Children are attracted to beautiful people. Women are attracted to beautiful people. You see a handsome, well-shaped man. As a guy, you're like, that guy's cool. You just give him the bed. They don't have to do work to be your friend. They just have to show up. And you just want to be their friend. You see a woman like that, I don't care who you are, you're like, wow, So she's just like walking around and everybody's into her. So he's just like I'm in love with this woman. Everybody loves her, but she treats me like an animal. And the tree, it's like kind of like a Satan mockery of the burning bush. I'll give you whatever you want. I'll give you, do this task for me. And he's like, look at this guy. Mother's making fun of him. Even his own mother's making fun of him. He wakes up and there's just fires and horror and everything. It's just very what's going on. He goes in and the mother, the house just collapses, and he's like sympathetic. She's like, oh my God, what's going on? And you won't believe, like, your mother's dead. What are you gonna do? You don't have any money now. I'm sorry, but and the body just starts talking to him, and he walks the body out, and he's like, do my bidding kind of thing, and he buries it, and she's just like, oh. He's like, I'm going home. She's like, I'm coming too. So just very creepy story. Then never mind. This is just, so Fritzy the psychologist, I told you, for those of you who may or may not be psychologists in my fan base, sorry, but I my personal observation is like a lot of psychologists are become psychologists to figure out what's wrong with themselves. So she's interviewing this woman there are, believe it or not, there are like superpowered beings in the Love and Rockets world. They show up every once in a while. So, she's doing therapy on it, and she's like, in my dreams, I want to kill you. God forgive me. Like, I keep having these horrible dreams that I want to kill you. And she's like, oh, don't worry, it's a dream, blah, blah. And then she wakes up. So she's dreaming that in her dreams, one of her patients wants to kill her. Da, 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 da. And here we have a really bizarre ad. Sub Pop. This is a record company, okay? I use the term fanboy a lot. And I know fanboy was started out as a derogatory term. Like the older, more cooler comic book guys would call the young kids fanboys. They didn't know any better. They just, but I've embraced the term. I'm taking fanboy back. I'm a fanboy. What I use fanboy is if you just give it the benefit of the doubt and you buy it. So I was a Marvel fanboy. I got any Marvel comic that I could afford and that I could find, with a few notable exceptions. Then I became a DC fanboy also, and I got any DC comic that I could find that I could afford. I became a Love and Rocket fanboy. More accurately, I became a Hernandez brothers fanboy. Now I'm like a Mark Millar fanboy. I was a John Byrne fanboy. So you could be fanboys of companies, artists, whatever. I was a fanboy of Sub Pop Records. And I did a showcase on my record collection. It was going to be like a 4-part series. Nobody watched it. So I just dropped it. I'll learn from my mistakes. So if anybody's interested, put in the comics, maybe I'll do another a part 2 of my records. But I had, from the beginning of Sub Pop Records, I think their first record was Sub Pop 100. I had everything up until probably right before this, because this I don't know. So someplace between the beginning of Sub Pop Records to 1995, I have everything Sub Pop put out. Some of them were wonderful, like Nirvana. That's how this is going to sound pretentious, but the truth is the truth. I had Nirvana records before Nevermind, and I remember telling my friends, this band's going to be a big band. I think it's going to be, and I didn't understand how popular they were going to be. Like bands like Mudhoney, Soundgarden, Green River, a lot of interesting bands. And then they came out with like a subscription service. You paid them money, and every month they would mail you a 45. And I did that Sub Pop subscription service for years. And I remember I was broke at the time, so sometimes embarrassing to admit, but the truth is the truth. Here I am in college, and the check would bounce. And they would call me up and say, your check bounced. What do you want to do about this? I'm like, please send me the record, because if you didn't get the record that month, the 45 that month, it was gone. You would have to pay for it like exorbitant prices on a back issue market. Back issue market. I'm talking about collector's market. So like, we trusted you. They would send me the record, and I would like send them like it was like $60 or something like that. So for like a year or whatever. I remember like sending them like $10 a week. And they were so cool. So cool. Poor broke. They knew their target, addicted, fanboys. That's what I was. I was an addicted fanboy of this company, and they were so good. And then sooner or later, I don't know, I just lost interest in stuff like that, which is a shame. I should have stayed up with it. But anyway, there you go. I'm talking too much about non-comp. And look at that freaky artwork. It's funny now, because when I do see Hernandez brothers work in color, I kind of get like freaked out. I'm like, I'm not used to it. Just imagine like seeing Star Wars on a black and white TV. It just doesn't look right. But anyway, this is 28 minutes on kind of a joke. I was looking through my collection for romance comics. I know I do have a few, because I bought a couple collections for people, and every once in a while, like I know I have like a Jack Kirby romance comic that I really would like to showcase, but I can't remember what the title is. So this was kind of a goof on Warduke. Ha ha ha. And but anyway, it turned into I think an interesting video of two brothers that I really am fascinated with. And again, in the comments, if you're going to say like, oh, I don't like that, that's cool. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but I'm a fan of comic books, not just superheroes, although superheroes are probably 90% of my collection. But then again, superheroes are 90% of comic books. So there you go. But I love the medium of comic books. And right around, I'm going to say like 93 is when I really started to branch out and look at other genres of comics. I don't know if it's the exact year, but around 92, 93, early 90s, Before that, it was just superheroes. It's just superheroes. And like, even in the 80s and the 70s, I wasn't into sword and sorcery. I wasn't into science fiction. It was just superheroes. So like, I didn't get Star Wars. Like, I got like the first year of Star Wars, and it bothered me too much. I didn't get Conan. Now I'm discovering all that wonderful stuff now, and it's great because I'm seeing all that wonderful new comic book stuff in an era when new comic books aren't that great. Anyway, I'm babbling, so I will stop here. Thank you. Tomorrow, this is Saturday's video. Tomorrow will be Sunday Comics. I don't quite know what I'm going to do for a showcase for Sunday Comics, but that never stopped me from just impulsively doing something before. So I hope to see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Sunday Comics, for a live, long waste of time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.